Hello and welcome to part 2 of this 3-part video series on how to design your community for engagement using habit formation principles. My name is Bree Lever and I am the CEO and community strategist over at Ember, where we help coaches, consultants, and creators build thriving online paid communities. Let's dig in. If you haven't watched part 1 of this video series yet, make sure that you go back and watch that first, because not only do we go through the really important ingredient of prompts, but I will also give you a broader context for how to think about and orient our perspective around engagement. In this video, we're going to be talking about ingredient number 2, the action that you want your members to take in your community. We're going to start by defining engagement, defining what those actions are, and then we're going to dive right into my community member engagement journey framework. Let's get started. First, a quick recap on our 3 essential ingredients for habit formation. And you might be wondering, Bree, why are we talking about habits when we're talking about engagement? A habit is nothing more than the normalization of good engagement in your community. So if we're already asking, how do we get good engagement in your community? We should also ask, how can we not just get great engagement in a single occurrence in your community, but how can this become a habit and normalized behavior inside of your community? Only then will we start to see the traction and real results from great engagement inside of your community. The 3 ingredients required to form a habit are prompt, the action, and the reward. Today, we're going to be talking about actions, and I'm going to approach this from 2 different angles to show you how getting the right action in your community is actually a lot more accessible than you think. Before we go any further, let's pause and define what great engagement means to you. If you saw part 1, then you know that when we're standing this close to the word engagement, it's not very helpful. We need to take a step back in order to get a better perspective on the issue that you are seeing with your community's engagement. So this starts by defining, what does great engagement even mean to you? And I'm not even going to show you my definition until you've taken a moment to write yours down. So go ahead, take the next 60 seconds to write down on a piece of paper or on a note on your computer, what does great engagement mean to you? To me, good engagement is made of interactions that create a sense of belonging. You'll notice interactions are made up of actions, which is what we're going to talk about next. Introducing the Community Member Engagement Journey Map. It's a very long title. In this framework, we want to start with the action, the approved, what I like to call the approved action. This is the very specific thing that we hope and expect your members to do. Your engagement journey map might actually be quite long when you think about all of the types of actions that someone might take in your community, and that's great. For the sake of this exercise, I want you to consider just one snapshot, one program, one type of event, one specific channel in your community, because I want us to get really granular and really zoomed in on all of the different actions that we would love to see someone take in your community. For me, I'm going to take a look at my live group coaching sessions, and that's the example I'm going to use. For my live group coaching sessions, when someone comes into contact with them in my community, the first thing I hope that they will do is RSVP to the call. The second action is attend the call. The third action is sharing on the call. Another thing I hope they do is I hope they volunteer an idea in our group coaching session. And then finally, and this might take us years, but ultimately, if we are fostering leadership development inside of our communities, I ultimately hope that I have a member someday who leads a group coaching session. This is the creme de la creme of community building. This is where my members are getting profound value from other members in my community and not just from me as the sole source of value. For each of these actions, we're going to look at our 3 ingredients. What is the prompt to get members to take that action? How do we support that action? And then ultimately, how do we reward that action? Rewards is going to be what we talk about in our 3rd video, so make sure that you come back, like and subscribe to get that video. Today, we're going to zero in on supporting the action. And there's really 2 ways that we can support an action. But first, a minor nerdy side quest into some habit formation science that was developed by BJ Fogg, who is a habit formation specialist out of Stanford. If you haven't read his book, Tiny Habits, I highly recommend it. It also seems to be very similar to Atomic Habits, so if that's your jam, great. This is the Fogg behavior model. And what this graph represents, on the y-axis, we have someone's motivation to do the thing. On the x-axis, we have someone's ability to do the thing. So it's either hard to do or it's really easy to do. In the center of the graph, you see this green line, which is the action line. Any habit or action that falls to the right of this line will happen. Anything to the left and below this line, fail. You might be highly motivated to buy the new luxury vehicle that you have been wanting for a really long time, as long as you can remember. Your motivation is super high. That is also really hard to do. You have to earn a lot of money to purchase the luxury vehicle of your dreams. It might be really easy to floss your teeth at the end of each day, but your motivation for this, unless somebody calls you out for having bad breath because you didn't floss, motivation is really low. And even though it's really easy to do, it still doesn't make it above the action line. So our quest is, for each of the approved actions that we have identified, we need to look at where on this graph do they fall? How easy are they to do? How hard are they to do? And how motivated are my members to take those actions? Here's the trick with this habit formation model. Changing someone's motivation is really difficult. It is really hard to increase someone's motivation. There are ways we can do this, and this is why our onboarding and our copywriting and our messaging in our community are so important, because those are influencing someone's motivation. How we connect the dots between the actions they are taking today and the impact and results that they are going to get tomorrow. When we do that really well, motivation goes up. But it's not the best use of our energy to focus it on increasing someone's motivation. Instead, I want you to focus your energy simply on making that task easier to do, making that action more accessible. There are two ways we can do that. BJ Fogg's thesis and the entire epicenter of the book Tiny Habits is that when you make that habit, that approved action that we listed, when you make it tiny, when you make the ultimate action that you're asking people to do really, really small and achievable in 30 seconds, you make it really easy to do, you will see profound results. In addition to making a task and an action really tiny, there's other ways that you can support that action to make it easier for someone to do. Let me show you some examples. For RSVPing to the call, how we can support that action is, for me, I host my community inside of a platform called Heartbeat. And it just so happens that one of the main reasons I chose that platform is because they have a really robust event management system that makes it super easy for my members to find what events are happening next and to RSVP for that call. That functionality is all designed to support the action and make it really easy to RSVP. To get my members to attend a call, what are some of the ways that I can support that action? Well, reminder emails for a call. In addition to sending reminder emails, in the Ember community, we post a teaser for our expert sessions on what they are going to learn at that call, why it is valuable for them, why they should attend. To help support my members sharing on a call, there's a couple ways we can support this action. Number one, break it down. Move it into breakout rooms so it's less intimidating. If I notice my members are really hesitant to share because it's a big group call and there's like 30 people on it, move them into breakout rooms. That's a great way to support the action that you want to see, which is having your members share live on a call. Another tool we use to support the action of sharing on a call is permission slips. Sometimes at the beginning of our call, I'll say, hey, let's go around and each share a permission slip. A permission slip is something that you are giving your permission to say or do or feel so that you can show up and be the most present on this call that you possibly could. So people will go around and share and say, hey, I give myself a permission slip to ask stupid questions. I give myself a permission slip to keep my video on, even though it might feel uncomfortable. Another way we might support this action is invite someone to share who hasn't. So maybe within this action of someone sharing on a call, you notice that you create a lot of space for people to share on your calls, but just kind of the same people keep sharing over and over again. And really, what you're after is you want more accessibility to more members sharing on your call who might not normally speak up. So instead of opening the floor for questions, you can open the floor and say, I'd love to hear from somebody who hasn't shared on this call yet. Will you share a takeaway that you've had so far? And then you pause and you be quiet. So much of our work in community building is just being willing to embrace the silence while our instructions and our supporting resources have been shared, and allowing your members to absorb them and act when they're ready. To support the action of volunteering an idea, my favorite way of supporting this action is give an example. Set the pace. You are the example in your community. I never ask a question on one of my calls that I am not willing to first answer myself. I do this to warm people up for icebreakers. I'll have an intro question when people are first coming onto the call. I use a little tool that comes up with a new question each time, and I always answer it myself because I want to set the pace for what I want my members to be sharing and how vulnerable I want them to be on these calls. If on a call you're wanting your members to volunteer an idea, when you ask for it, when you say, does anyone have any ideas for how we might approach this problem? And you could say, for example, I'm thinking about it from this angle and this angle. What am I missing here? What might you be thinking about? And finally, to support the action of someone leading a call, this is its own full journey as well. We could break this one into 10 different actions that we want people to do leading up to leading a call. But once we're at the place where we have someone who would be equipped and qualified to lead a call in the community, there's a couple of things we can do to support that action. So first, we can provide an outline on how we would like to structure the calls so that they're not flying blind. We can request their information for an intro, so we help facilitate the intro and the outro of the call, and they just take on the meat of it in the middle. Writing a well-crafted description, pitching this event to other members. So if we want someone to lead a call and we want members to lead it again in the future, really selling this as a huge benefit to our members, incentivizing members to join the call, also functions inadvertently as a reward for the person who is leading the call. Using even our supporting actions as the reward is another sneaky hack we can do too. Next, we'll be looking at how you can use rewards to create lasting habits for your community members, taking the actions that you know lead to great engagement. To create your own copy of the community member engagement journey map that we use today, head over to the notes to create your own copy and fill out your approved actions, your prompt, and your supporting action for the actions that you want to see your members taking.